Hey, what's up out there? It's your boy from Brooklyn, Shannon Ambrosio, just saying, are you guys ready for another Everything and Nothing podcast? Well, that's what's up. It's Sunday, folks. And I got the whole summer vibe thing going on. I hope you guys are digging the light arrangement that I have here. I've been working on it a little bit to make sure we get this thing, kind of, where it needs to be. So how's everybody doing? We having an amazing weekend so far. The weather's just been absolutely fantastic out here by me. I mean, it's been a little hot, but the weather's good. So nobody complain, all right? Because you go out there, start complaining, then you mess up the weather, and then what the heck? And then what the heck, folks? Don't mess up the weather. Don't jinx it. Because I know how it works, right? Everybody is, they're like, it's great. And I want it to get warm when it's cold outside. And then once it gets warm, everybody's like, oh man, it's so hot outside. It's so sticky. And I'm human. And and don't touch me. And the weather's hot. And I'm like, listen to me. When it was cold, everybody wants the weather to get warm. And now that the weather is warm, everybody starts complaining about it again. I'm like, listen, make up your mind. I don't got time for this nonsense. Hey, what's up? Hey, we got Teresa with us already. Sonia is already, Sunny is with us already. But that's what happens in the summertime out here, especially on the East Coast, right? I don't know how I've been out to the West Coast quite a few times, but I don't know everybody on the West Coast. I know they have, the weather gets warmer in the summertime, but out here in the New York area, forget about it. The humidity and the stickiness when it gets hot, sometimes it's unbearable. But I mean, Florida is, that's hot. That right down there. I've been there in the summertime. It's hot down there, right? As you get further down south, I mean, the weather gets hot. But it's different. I think, maybe because, New York, listen, the humidity here is crazy. And in Florida too. But Florida gets all that bad hurricanes and the hurricanes and the, and the cocaines and the especially in Florida. They get the hurricanes and then the cocaines, and it's all good. Nobody in Florida is worried about it anymore. So it kind of, I guess it balances itself out. You understand what I mean? But that's what's going on. Summertime is upon us, folks. And I'm telling you, I'm really enjoying it this year. The vibe is different. The idea, the atmosphere around, I think just in general, is different. Because of everything that's happened and everything that is happening still, all the craziness, and the whole COVID thing is finally, I guess, getting to where it needs to be, where it's safe to be out amongst human beings again. We'll see. It may change, right? And who knows? I think California's got the biggest problem with the whole thing, right? Didn't their governor or somebody over there just say to him, nope, we're locking this shit down again? I'm like, yo, you guys need to, storm the castle there in Cali. This guy's just running amok with you people out there. That shit is crazy. But hey, look, all right. So right away, everybody, I don't know if everybody can see. I had to get the new reading glasses. Right. I'm always breaking things, but this really wasn't my fault. It kind of just split over here, but whatever. So I had to get the new reading glasses. I didn't even take the stickers off this bad boys yet. And you know why? Because that's what today's topic is about. Today's topic is about getting to your to-do list. I've been on my to-do list like a son of a gun. I'll tell you that much right there. I don't care who you tell. And that's the truth right there. But I haven't even had enough time. I've been using them with the stickers on it. Like what the heck's going on here? Like I don't have enough time to do that. But getting to my to-do list, that's a big priority for me right now, is getting to my to-do list. And I don't just necessarily mean, right? So when we're talking about to-do lists and things that things that you want to get done, things you have to get done, and maybe things that, that maybe just on that, in generalized list. But my to-do list, this doesn't always comprise of tasks and things like that, right? So I write to-do lists a lot so that I can make sure that I can prioritize the things that I want to get to. I think that's the biggest thing for me. My to-do list have a lot to do with how I want to prioritize the things that I want to get done next. And it could be just as simple as, and I don't make a to-do list every day, but every 2 days, every 3 days, at least 3 to 4 times a week, I work on a to-do list I have. And it could really be anything. It could be, hold on, let me throw that up there. I got the buttons up there. You heard? Your boys the production value is just getting crazy around here. But I write everything down in a notebook first, and that's 99% of the time. I write it down first. And then I have a few to-do lists or task lists that I have on my computer that pertain to the different things that I do. Right. So the podcast, maybe the cooking and eating, maybe the building and fixing, and it could be anything. It could be, hey, listen, going to the store and making sure you buy, whatever it is you need, supplies wise and what have you. Even to go see friends and visit and do certain things. Like I had to write on my to-do list 3 times to bring the motor scoot in to get them to look at something. And I finally did. I mean, they had it for over 5 weeks, but that's neither here nor there. The point is that I even put stuff like that on my to-do list so that I don't want to forget and then not have certain things in a timely manner that I need them. So I tend to write a lot of things down on my to-do list. And I don't think I necessarily differentiate between the things to do, like my daily things that I want to get done, as opposed to, maybe long-term to-do things. I tend to put to-do lists together with the things that I'm working on presently. So that because I know me, if I create like a future to-do list, no, I go berserk. I gotta lose my mind. But I write everything down on the to-do list because it makes me figure on a time and a point when to get it done. So in other words, a lot of people say, oh, no, I know I got to get to that. And I say, well, if you're not most likely writing it down or putting a plan in motion immediately after you say it, we all know the procrastination and things get in the way and what have you. And then, you find yourself sitting down procrastinating about the things that you should have did. And that's why I find to-do lists really do to do. Does that make any sense out there to everybody? I really like the idea of creating certain lists. It was funny because I was thinking about this a lot this week because I really have been buttoning up on a ton of projects and getting them finished, right? Of course, the studio. I mean, now I'm working in the yard. Everybody has seen on my social media, and here we go. Here goes the first one, folks. This is the way it's going, right? So I hope everybody's following me on my social media because that's where I've been posting the projects and the things that I've been working on, the pictures of them and the progress on how things are coming along. So make sure you go to my social media and make sure you follow me and hit me up on social media. A couple of people have been doing that lately too, and I kind of dig that, right? So if you're sending me little messages on the post because of what's on the podcast or because of what's on the cooking and eating videos, it really does motivate me to talk a little bit more about those things that I'm working on, which I love. And thank you everybody out there, right? Because everybody is now giving me that's what's up. So if you like my content, give a thumbs up. It really does help. But what really gets me motivated to keep moving on these things is the fact that I do get a lot of interaction from you guys out there to keep the dialogue open about certain things, which is absolutely fantastic. And again, that even things like this, and when I'm doing the podcast, they all go in to-do lists for me to make sure I'm not missing certain things. So it really does help keep me keep all these things that I have active on my mind constantly, which keeps me sharp. That's number one. Keeps me focused. That's number two. And most of all, it makes the task important enough to keep moving. And people know I say that a lot. Keep moving, keep moving. It's the only way to get things done. The minute you decide to procrastinate and think about them too long is the time that you're not going to get them done. Believe me when I tell you, right? We all know that. Don't be the one to get the... Nobody wants to get the goat. And we got the super chats coming in already. Dun, dun, dun. Thank you very much for the super chats. Hey, listen, everybody, you know how I feel about that. Yolanda, thank you so much. The idea is that all this stuff does go towards my channel. So if you think this is cool and somebody else may like this and may find me hilarious or totally obnoxious or whatever the case may be, they like cooking. I'm sure we all like cooking and eating, right? And the building and fixing. If I can help you save a few bucks, that's my goal. My goal is to constantly be saving you guys out there a shit ton of money. So that's why I like the building and fixing too, because it really does put me in a place where I can say to somebody, well, I know how to do it. And if I could share with you guys out there, how to get things done, and you can save some money and learn something. Come on, that's a win-win right there, folks. So if you haven't seen any of the building and fixing videos or the cooking and eating videos, please, I put those links down in description below. So make sure you are checking the description. This way you guys can get the link to those playlists on my channel. And I know everybody out there has been sharing. Sharing is caring. And Karen's not just somebody I know from Brooklyn. But thinking about all these things and to-do lists, this helps me prioritize and keep the podcast new, refreshing, and, totally, I think, interactive between everybody out there. I'm always curious about what you guys think about the podcast, some things you'd like to hear about, some things you'd like to see on any of the videos, on any of these things. You should just, put it down in the questions and comments below, because I listen to you guys. When you ask me questions on the YouTube and on the podcast and all those things, I answer them all. This is me genuinely saying, hey, tell me what's up. Tell me what's on, and that's what I'd like to hear from you guys too. Tell me what's on your to-do list. I'm curious about how people they prioritize the things they want to get done and get them done. Because the biggest thing we all know is creating the to-do list and knowing that you have certain things you want to get to eventually. It could be vacation. It could be anything. It could be sending a letter to somebody, writing a short story, a poem. Sailor writes all those poems, and Yolanda does her knitting and all those things. And, these things, we have to get time to do them, right? Whether they're pleasure or whether they're work or what have you. And I always feel that putting things on a to-do list or putting things in a to-do mindset of something you got to get to because it's important enough will make it happen. If you're not doing those things, believe me, it's going to be hard to find a reason to take some time out of whatever else you were doing to get to the to-do list. It really is. I think a lot of people tend to get overwhelmed by a lot of things that they may think they have to do. But if you create small little to-do lists, you'll really get this idea that, okay, these 3 things that are on here, out of these 3 things, maybe number 3 is the easiest to get done. So maybe I don't have to start at the top. Maybe I could start over here and then get this one done. And then the next one doesn't feel so bad or so far away is what I should say. But that's how I get things done. I really enjoy writing the list because let's just all face it. We all know this, right? It's kind of like the thing when you go to the store, you're like, all right, I'm going to go buy this thing and I'm going to buy the best one and the most expensive one. And then when you get to the store, sometimes you're like, maybe not, maybe I don't want to get the best of the best. Maybe I want to do this first and then gradually work my way up. But that's the same thing with like the to-do list that I have and the way I kind of organize and prioritize. So that's why I frequently make lists. And I don't always check everything off on every to-do list because let's face it, it's not possible unless that's the list you make is the same. It doesn't vary much. But the idea of the list for me and the way I get to them is that I'll write a short list and what have you, and then basically pick one or two things right away off the list so I can get to them and I know I can get them done. Otherwise, when I look at the list sometimes after I write it, because I'll write everything down once it gets going into my head, and I write everything down, and then I'll go back and look at the list, and I'll go, oh no, I know I'm not getting to this one anytime soon. But I leave it there. Like, it's not like, I'm like, oh, and then I won't kill myself to try and get to it. I already know that maybe that one's a little bit out of reach. But if I write it enough times, the one time I do include it to a list, that will be the thing that I do. So that's what I'm saying. I write lists constantly and constantly create notes for myself in all types of places, in all types of ways and shapes and forms. Video format, it could be a voice recording, it could be written down. Eventually, though, everything makes it to paper for me in order for me to feel once I get it done, it's done. Crazy, right? Idiosyncrasies we have. But these are the way I get to tasks, and I love to-do lists. And I like to work. Let's even talk about the difference between the to-do list and a buddy list. So, right? Sometimes you have things on here that are on your list that you're like, oh, I may need help for that one. And you know what's funny? I'll even write that in here. So say if I got to move something or I need help to build something and I know something, somebody else may have some expertise, I write my little notes down there so that I'll say, oh, I got to figure this out. Let me call this person, or let me talk to this person, or let me do these 3 other things in order to get to this. So I kind of get detailed in the list when I do write them. But it really does give me a perspective as to the value of what the thing is on the to-do list, and maybe the process that it takes to get it done. So there's so many things I think that people don't understand because it goes on your to-do list. If you wrote it there one time and it was big and you wrote to-do on it and you wrote fix house, like that doesn't make any sense to me, right? How would you be able to prioritize? I got to fix my whole house. How would you be able to figure that out and prioritize all those things? So you have to create this idea of assembly and time frame. So if you have a large task or whatever the case may be, and it's going to take some time, maybe don't put that at the top of your list. A lot of people tend to do that. They'll take their to-do list or the things they want to get done, and they write the hardest and the most, elaborate thing at the top of their list, and like, oh, this. And I'm like, yeah, I get that part. But how many steps do you have to take to get to that completed? Why couldn't, what I'll do is I'll take the list and then I'll break it down even a little bit more, as to like, the built-ins upstairs. So one drawing is of one cabinet. So when I build a cabinet, I build in just that one cabinet so that I don't overwhelm myself with the idea of getting that whole thing done at one time. Otherwise, I may not get to any of it. If that makes any sense out there, right? If that makes any sense out there, do me a favor. All right? Let me know that I'm making a little bit of sense for you, and leave all your questions and comments below. I'm very curious. To-do list. How do you get to them? How do you prioritize? And what are you doing with the to-do list? Do you separate them? Do you keep your to-do list just with everything? How does that work for you guys out there, right? And don't forget, subscribe to my channel so that you, can watch my content. And when you are subscribed, don't forget to get your bell. Hold on. Your bell. And don't forget to get your bell rung, folks, because when you ring that bell, you get notified when I put a video up on my YouTube channel. Plus, you'll get notified when I'm live on YouTube, and that's what's up right there. You can't go wrong with that. You can take that to the bank, all right?
Oh, hell no.
Yes, you can. You can take that one to the bank. But to-do lists are a very, very big part of how I get things done and how I really become so task-oriented due to the fact that I really enjoy it. because once I get involved in a project, and everybody, who follows me knows all this, is that once I get involved in a project, forget it, I become consumed with it. And a lot of people like to say, like I said, OCD, I become obsessive. But I consume myself with it. It's not like I'm fighting with it, right? So a lot of people have that idea of getting things done, and an obsessive compulsive thing that I have is that it's kind of like a bad thing. It's a demon, right? We all it gets frustrating sometimes. But the idea is that I enjoy a certain part of it. There's a certain part of the process and the procedure of getting things done for me that I truly enjoy. I truly enjoy the idea of taking something that I think, that I'm not too sure if it can be done, but I know if I work hard enough at it, I can get it done. Like, in other words, I can get to that thing on the to-do list without too much apprehension. I don't put myself in a position where I'm like, things are going to go crazy if I can't get this thing done. No, I get to a place where I put myself in a position where I know that my incremental steps will get me to that end result, no matter what. It's just this crazy idea. I don't know if I've said this in the past, and I'm sure I have, and everybody has heard me, because...
My God, are you still talking?
I am. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. But everybody knows that I have a United States government patent. And it was funny because when I started thinking about these things and becoming, discovering myself as an engineer and truly understanding the process and what it takes on my to-do list. So the idea is that, everybody talks about it. I had this thing I was thinking about inventing. And I'm like, it's a daunting task to think about something and bring it from here, from your list to your brain, and then actual something, or create something that's never been done before, created before. You have to create a to-do list. You have to think about those things in that fashion, right? So when you think about doing something, I tell everybody this all the time, and I say, write it down. Write it down immediately, or take a voice message of what it is you're thinking about, what it is, what it can be, and why you're doing it. So I always think about it in that fashion, because is it something that I really want to take part in? Is this thing on my to-do list because it's just a whim, or it's just something, maybe I'll get to it. No, I don't do that. I don't put things on my list or put things in my head that I know that I cannot finish at the end. So it's kind of like a funny process that I have. Sometimes I think about things in the beginning, and I already know that I won't follow through with it. So now, earlier in life, no, I did everything. Didn't matter. But now I just push those things aside. And then if I ever come back to it, when I think it's relevant enough for me to get to it, then maybe I'll think about it again. But I don't overwhelm myself with too many things that I don't think can be done. I try and put things into perspective, whereas I'm like, oh, no, I can get to that. I can do that. That's feasible. It may take me a little bit. Like I said, the office that I've worked on upstairs, it's over a year now. But it was something that I knew that I could get done, and I knew it wasn't going to be a right away thing once I got into it, because I knew the task itself took a little bit more time on the thinking part of it, because of the, you don't get to make too many mistakes doing certain things. So the process of thinking about getting to the next step and making sure I was efficient enough to be proficient to understand how to do it. So that was very important to me, because I don't like to get into things where I'm like, oh man, this is going to take a lot more thinking in order for the task to even become tangible, or to become it, to know that it's going to have an end result. That's the hard part too, right? Because a lot of people don't ever think if it can really be done. And that's what I said, if you take those incremental steps and push yourself in that direction, that to-do list, and you break it down a little bit simpler every time, no, you'll be swiping those things off. You swipe those things like you're swiping on the Tinder there, left and right. So, you know what I'm saying? Get to your to-do list right there, because you never know. You may want to swipe once or twice. So, I always find that it does, for me, relieve a lot more tension and stress when I get the checks on the to-do list. here I am just tugging and tugging and tugging. Let me know what's up out there. Let me get to this thing real quick over here. Tell me what's up. What's going on, everybody? How are you guys doing? Therese is with us. Sal, Yolanda, Shannon. Who else we got with us? Gina's with us. That's it. Oh, Jimmy didn't come with us. Where's Jimmy? So Jimmy didn't even show up. Jimmy didn't show up. Sonny is with us. So Jimmy didn't even come back. That rat. Miss Jimmy. But what's everybody doing out there with their to-do list? How are they getting things done? Totally. Same way. Break it down into steps. Right. You got to break it down into those small little steps. Otherwise. But the idea. Who's unsung heroes? Yes. Well, teachers, yes, of course. Come on. But let me show you something that's really cool, right? So check this out. Let me see what I got here. Let me turn this on. So when you're prioritizing your to-do list, do you just overwhelm? You get your list out there, or you just like, oh my God, I got to get to this right away. See what's happening. See what's going on. I tend to push things. Of course, vacations don't make it to my list very often, but that's all right too. It doesn't matter. So let's see what I have here, right? So take a look here, folks. I just love this idea of how far I've come with the technology on this. So you'll notice here, look, check this out. These are basically to-do lists that I have in my notebook. Those, and I don't know how old those. Some of them are a little bit old, and then some of them are newer. But you'll see, I will literally write down steps and everything, numbers, random, crossing things out, fitting things in. It doesn't matter. My to-do list is almost like a doodle page. So it's almost like it's doodles. It's like I sit down and I'm like, all right, I got to get this done. And then I write a list. I write numbers. I write measurements. I draw pictures. It doesn't matter. What I think is necessary in order for me to get to something on my task. And like I said before, this could be as simple as a shopping list, but it will have 6 different subtitles, cross-outs, markups. I mean, I'll blood that, when you mark up a paper with red ink, I'll blood that thing up like it's nobody's business. But that's just me getting everything in my mind out so I can see it and read it again. What's funny is that I listened to a couple of people, but Jordan Peterson, and I know everybody out there has heard me talk about him before, and I know you guys are studying my lists here. See what this crazy bastard writes on paper. And I bet everybody's figuring, hey, what's funny? I just started getting into my office, and I have some pictures up here. I'll show you. So the idea is these to-do lists and everything that I have here, I absolutely just love. So I have started putting up a lot of my, accolades and things that I have, and excuse my, what's funny? My grammar and my Brooklyn come out a lot. So the idea is I have my degrees and my diplomas and my achievements and my awards, and I've been hanging them up in the office because the office is 99% done. I got the bench sheet left to do. And that's part of my drawings that I have down here. I have the bench sheet down there that I was working on upstairs doing the built-ins and everything. So I have those notes and everything because it really does help me remember certain things. And the more, we all know this, right? The more you repeat certain things, the better you know, the better you'll remember it, but the better you'll know it too, because you have to do things in repetition in order to create habit, and that's the truth. But anyway, back to Jordan Peterson. So I listened to Jordan Peterson a lot, and then recently he just had somebody on. I forgot the guy's name, but I'll put a link to Jordan Peterson's channel down in the description below after the podcast. So I'll put a link to Jordan Peterson. You guys can take a look and see if you like him, what he's got to say. But anyway, he had somebody on the other day, and he said something that I found extremely remarkable. And he said this. He said that creative geniuses have to have, they have to have a certain amount of repetition. Well, they have to have a certain amount of things that they do on a regular basis. Because if not, people who are creative, so take me for example, people who are creative have a tendency to keep going in different directions constantly. And if you don't create some kind of repetition or some kind of, I don't know, things, that you do every day, your mind will constantly wander. And I find that writing the to-do list for me gives me that kind of focus, whereas at night, if I'm not doing much, my mind tends to wander a lot more, and then I'm always off thinking about 100 other things, and I don't sleep much. But that's, that's the way it is. But the idea is that once I create these to-do lists, it kind of gives me it gives me this thing that I have to get into a routine again. So I have to have some kind of routine where I can go to my list and go, okay, so these things on this list need to be done. So it creates a routine for me. And then this way I do them. The podcasting, the live podcast every Sunday, and making sure that I'm getting to it now every Sunday. It helps me understand that even though I'm creative and I could sit and think and try and work on things constantly, I have to give myself something that's easier for me to do that I do all the time. It's kind of like the thing of people say, why is when somebody asks you what your favorite flavor of ice cream, right? People don't realize that's a psyche question. And when people ask you what your favorite flavor of ice cream is, and you say vanilla, and most people will answer, oh, so boring. And I go, oh, no, on the contraire, my friend. Liking one kind of ice cream and making sure that if you're eating ice cream, it doesn't have to be every time, but yes, most of the time when I get ice cream, I like vanilla, and I like a specific type of ice cream. I like Haagen-Dazs vanilla. That's it. I like vanilla, I like chocolate, and I like strawberry ice cream. And that's not because, like they say, you're dull or you're boring or something like that. It's because you spend more time thinking about things that you want to create or being creative in your head rather than worrying so much about the certain flavors of ice cream. Now, let's, be realistic about that. Not everybody's the same. Whatever it is, it is. But the idea of that for me is not that I don't enjoy the vanilla ice cream. I like the vanilla ice cream very much. I've had tons of other ice cream. But I like that one the best, and then I don't have to think about much after that. I get back to thinking about the things that I want to think about. It's kind of like the person that they say, well, you pretty much wear the same thing all the time. I go, yes, I don't want to spend that much time worrying about that when I want to be doing something else. I don't know, crazy, but that's just the way I think about it. Yeah, no, that's just the way it is.
Oh, hell no!
Yeah.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
I don't know. I like Haagen-Dazs vanilla ice cream, and that's just the way it is. Leave it down in the questions and comments below. What's your favorite flavor? What ice cream cone are you licking? So leave it down in the questions and comments below. We all know, especially now, summertime, you see it, it's summertime. This is why it's the Everything and Nothing podcast. But in the summertime, I love Italian ices. I don't care. It's, they're delicious. Italian ices. That's just how it is. Sorry. I like the Italian ices. I like the frozen fruit pops, the whole 9 yards. But tell me what your flavor is down there. But I like that, especially now it's getting warm out. Absolutely delicious. And I happen to like certain things a certain way, and I like it that way for the simple fact that I don't really want to think about a lot much of other things. I get creative in the kitchen. We all know that. We've seen that, right? But the idea is that's a planned process for me. Even though I kind of have this thing about it that I'm very comfortable doing it. It's still a planned process. I still talk about it, and if you watch my cooking and eating videos, and I hope you guys are out there, you'll hear me talk a lot about mise en place. And mise en place just basically in French means everything in its place. So that's kind of important to me, that everything goes on a list, that everything goes in its place, so that I can kind of prioritize and organize in my head how to get something done. You know, I put this plainly to somebody, asked me recently, said, man, how do you come to those things? And I go, my thought process is an engineering thought process. I don't think about things any other way, and I don't know why. Even certain emotions for me have to come in a process. It helps me understand. It helps me understand the things along the way. Like if I'm going to do something or get something done, if I don't understand why, I don't necessarily want to get to it. It really won't make it to my to-do list. If it doesn't intrigue me enough where I'm like, nah, that's some simple shit. I won't even give it the time of day. But that's just me. But, you know, for other people, it's different. But for me, you know, I have to have that understanding of that to-do list so that I can understand the process to make sure that it's I'm clear enough on it. You know, because I don't like the idea of not having an understanding of it. Anyway, that's just me, folks. So check this out, right? So the idea is these are my to-do lists, which I love. But this is why. Like today, I got done finishing up the wine rack shelves for the built-ins. Now take a look at this. No, it's just coming out fantastic. And again, all due to my fashion of getting things done, my to-do list. But check this out. So you'll see here on the left, is it on your left or my right? So it's on, hey, whatever side it is, you'll see the 3 shelves that I just finished. You'll see the 3 shelves down there, stained and finish on them bad boys. And I, put the finish on them. And then you'll see in the next photo, I put the shelves in and then started adding the bottles and everything. And you see, I got some artwork up in the office, the buildings come, and then you'll see the furthest one to the right, where they're done. All the built-ins are complete. The only thing left is the bench seat that's going underneath the window. So I'll be working on that soon, probably this week. I don't know if I'll have it completely finished in a week, but I will be pretty close because it takes 3 days to get the finish on all the parts in order for me to actually install the bench seat, because the bench seat is actually going to be almost like a bookcase. A bookcase. What the heck is a bookcase? Sorry, folks. First week with the new tongue. Anyway, so I have to do the built-in bench seat over here. And what I'm going to have to do is basically building a bookcase and then just laying it down. But it's going to be made of butcher block, the same butcher block that I used for the tops of the counters over here. And that's going to take a little bit of work because I have to do I have to do dados and I have to do some rabbit joints. And so, it's a little bit of work. And, set some dowels and then flush cut the dowels, sand, stain, finish. So it's going to be a little bit of work to actually get the whole thing finished. But I'm excited about getting this complete. That's the only piece that's left. And then after that, the entire office is complete. I put my desk in place already. I built another desk with an electric motor that raises and lowers the desk too, so it could be a standing desk like I have down here in the studio. Now, I hope you guys are digging the pics and everything, because I'm really digging the fact that I get to share all this stuff with you guys now. To me, that's the most amazing. And, and again, So throw the thumbs up there if you like the content. Don't forget to share it with anybody you know or like somebody you don't even know. That doesn't even matter. Share it with who or whomever you want. One or many. Your choice. I leave it up to you, folks. And make sure you're sharing it, right? Because you don't want to don't get the goat. Just don't get the goat. All right? But that's what's going on. Lots of progress, lots of things happening, checking things off my to-do lists. Now, I absolutely love writing. And what I was getting to before about talking about writing and why I like to-do lists and writing all my little notes and my little quirky, funny stories and everything. I write everything down. So when I was hanging up all the, plaques and awards and all this other stuff in the office, I have to remind myself sometimes that I have, English grammar, composition of my, I went to college, took that, literature, all these things. Writing for me was big when I went back. And I try and do it as often as I can. But the problem is I'm not writing like truly just writing. I'm writing mostly things that I have to get done. But I also write down the little stories and the things the problems I run into, and I write all of it down because it really does. What I was talking about last week is it helps me reminisce. I have all the notebooks that I've written things in still. It's crazy. I even recently when I was going through my office, all the paperwork and everything, I still had papers that I had written back in school. So, and lessons that I wrote notes on. And here's another fun fact, folks, is that when you write things down repetitively, or when you're just writing something down, your mind has a tendency to remember it a lot easier because you've seen it. So that's a fun fact for you and a helpful hint that when you write things down, even if it's on your to-do list or it could be anything, if you're writing things constantly, your mind is constantly being refreshed as to what was in there before, right? So when you're writing something down, how I used to study for all my classes was I would write my notes over again. People would say that's crazy, but I would either write my notes over or type them into documents, my notes. Not necessarily so much the verbatim from the textbooks, but from my notes. I wrote notes constantly in class. So in class, I was taking notes constantly because I wanted to be reminded of certain things that I thought were important. Not necessarily, right? So here's another thing, your to-do list. Get on your to-do list because it gives your mind time to think for yourself. Because in school, most of it's just regurgitation, right? So everybody wants to write notes because the first question they ask to the teachers, I'm sure, and I remember, is this going to be on the test? For me, it was never about the test. Right? And let's just say your boy aced them all. That's aced them. Anyway, so the idea is I wasn't just writing notes because I wanted to remember what one person said to regurgitate the information. I wrote notes in a fashion that helped me remember them a certain way, right? So if there was something that the teacher was saying or something I read in a book, and in order for me to understand it my way or better in my way, I'm writing notes so that I would remember it in the way that I do. Sometimes I have this thing of, people use, things, an analogy or something to remember something by, and they create these things, like, certain words. Like if you wanted to do something that had certain letters in it, you would remember that way. But for me, I wrote notes in a fashion that triggered me to think about something. So, crazy, right? So if I was thinking about, mahogany, maybe I'd be, or maple wood. If I was thinking about I needed to get a piece of maple for something like that, I would be thinking about pancakes, or Vermont, and I would think, oh, maple syrup. And then there you go, folks. So I have a certain way of doing things. So when I write my notes, it's the same way. And if you looked at some of the notes that I put up there, and you'll see there are things that are scratched out because I'll write it look at it and then I'll say, oh, no, that wasn't right. And then I have to cross it out. And what that does for me, when I cross something out, it really helps me retain the new information, because I'm like, what I had written before, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. It's not going to work. And then it helps me move on. So I really like the idea of getting things done on my to-do list, checking them off, constantly going to the list and creating them for any reason. I like the idea of the to-do list. You could call it anything you want. I don't care what you call it. You could call it to-do, to-don'ts. Some people have to-don't lists. Don't do that. Those work too, I guess. The to-don't list. That's what we should do. We should start creating a to-don't list.
Oh, hell no.
How about a...
Oh, hell no.
list? How about we get a hell no list? How about we put a list together that's just all hell no's? Let me put a list together and be like, hell no, I ain't doing that. That's a good list out there. If you're going to create a hell no list, let me know about it. Maybe I'll get part of that one too, right? All right, folks, this is the way it goes. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel. It really does help. And don't forget to get your bell rung, folks, so you get notified when I'm going live and when I put a new video up on my channel. The cooking and eating videos and the building and fixing videos, there will be links for them down in the description below. So do that, please, folks. Let's, just get that going on there. Check them out. And if you're not subscribed or following me on my social media, there you go, right there. There's all the social medias. I'm on them all right there. Find me on the gram. Find me on the book, right? Find me in the Twitter. Find me in the Twitter right there. I'm all on the LinkedIn sometimes. Sometimes I text, sometimes I talk, and sometimes I don't. It's just the way it goes. And to all my super chats out there, thank you. It really does help. Listen to me, folks. If you're liking my videos, sharing them, subscribing, and if you're, throwing a little something over there in the super chats for your boy, all of this goes to my channel. Everything that I make. I have affiliate links down below if you want to know about any of the equipment that I use to do podcasting and what have you. There's in the description, there's links to all my equipment that I use. And if you go over there and you purchase something, through Amazon or whatever, you help your boy out, right? I get a little something. It's almost not enough to even hurt nobody, you know what I'm saying, right there. But do that, right? Go over there and check it out, right? And if you like my content, right out there. You heard? And, that's what's up right there. Try to thumbs up if you liked it, and if you think anybody else may find me totally obnoxiously funny or a facsimile thereof, please do that. And listen to me. I'm going to put a link down there also to Jordan Peterson so you guys can check him out. I really just love what he has to say most of the time. And do that. And, it's all the stuff will be down below. Any questions and comments? Let me know what's on your to-do list. Put it down in the questions and comments below. Let's get the to-do list going. You heard? Don't, it's not my to-do list. Don't give me shit to do. You create your own to-do list out there. Okay, folks? Leave mine alone. I got enough on it. All right? Now, you can find the podcast on all these other platforms as well. So if you don't want to watch it on YouTube, make sure you're going over to the links down below in the description as well. I'm on Anchor, iTunes, Spotify. I'm on all of those with the podcast. So make sure you go over there and take a listen if you don't want to watch it on YouTube. Yeah, heard? That's what's up.
My God, are you still talking?
Yes. One more thing. Now, I have some people that I follow on my Instagram and social media. And recently they've had something happen and it was just, tragic. Well, it's horrible because the best thing is that they're okay and nothing happened. But I have, they're called Pine Barren Pallet Works. And basically it's a husband and wife team, and they use recycled pallets to build things. and they're absolutely amazing, and they sell a bunch of things as well. But their shop went up in flames the other day, and that's horrible. The good thing is everybody's okay. That's the great thing. Everybody's okay. And they will rebuild and get back to where they need to be. And that's important because, again, when something like that happens, you should jump up and get back at it. It's very important, extremely important. And that's their Instagram. That's them looking at the aftermath. So it's great that they have a community behind them. And it's important that creators and people understand that we all will go through something that's, horrific in our lifetimes. And, if you could do a little something, reach out and say hello or, whatever it is, that doesn't even matter. I think they got a GoFundMe thing going on, which I think is fantastic. You have a community behind you and people reach out and extend their hand to you or, whatever it is, a kind word really does help. It gets you past the darkest of demons that you may have in your mind at that time. And so go over there. Pine Barren is where their Instagram is right there. You could see it. And go over to the Instagram and, take a look. These guys are pretty awesome at what they do. And I admire people who are good at their craft. We all know that, right? And I don't care what it is that you're doing. I have this thing for people who have this creative sense about them, and with the long sight of knowing that the things that they think about and the things they want to do, they go and do them. So Pine Barren is like one of those types, and I really think if you guys want, go over, even if you just subscribe into their social media and stuff, all that stuff helps us content creators because, the algorithms, the more watch time, and that's how it works. The longer people watch your content, the more money you can make, and that's basically how it works. So if you can go over, give those guys a little bit of love, and they can use it. I know that for sure. And that's what's up right there, folks. My time is almost up. It's been another wonderful Everything and Nothing podcast, and I truly, truly enjoy all of this and spending time here with everybody. So you know how it goes. Every day is a good day. And if you give a smile, you gonna get a smile. Give a bunch of them smiles out there, folks. We all need them. And I'm out, folks. Don't you worry. I'll be back.